Right then, here we go. So, you know the French term for putting in the scene. So, this is how Star Wars Episode 4 put a lot outside the scene. And so there was that world building via it. Now, in stage plays, you have a lot of this going on, talking about uh, off stage events and people. So, let's go through the world building which wasn't shown, it was put outside the scene. So we have the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke about fighting in the Clone Wars with Luke's father, a major galactic conflict never shown in the film. Luke's father, Anakin Skywalker. Obi-Wan describes Luke's father as a Jedi and pilot, but he never appears in the film except in reference. So this is an example of why writers need to have more than what is shown. Um, and you have to do a lot of research on the setting. And setting is exceptionally important in science fiction. Um, the theft of the Death Star plans. The entire premise of the film relies on Princess Leia having stolen plans for the Death Star. But the theft itself is not shown, later depicted in Rogue One. Biggs, Dark Lighter, and Luke's Tatooine friends. Luke mentions his friend Biggs and their friendship is referenced, but most of their interactions are not shown in the final cut. The Emperor and Galactic Senate. The Emperor is mentioned as dissolving the Senate, but does not appear. So just one or two lines can add so much. Jabba the Hutt. Han Solo refers to his debt to Jabba, who is only mentioned in dialogue. He appears in later films and in the special edition. Most films don't have all of this off-world, out of scene stuff that shows there's a world. Yeah. Past rebellion activities. The Rebel Alliance's history and survival are referenced, including the previous battles and the existence of other rebel cells. Han Solo smuggling past. Han references past jobs, including the Castle Run and run-ins with bounty hunters, but these events are not shown. So you're getting this extra information which is related to character and setting. Luke's home planet is destroyed and its past. Leia's home planet is destroyed and its past is referenced but not depicted. The Jedi Purge. Obi-Wan refers to Jedi being hunted down and destroyed, but this is not shown. The existence and history of the Jedi, the Force, and their persecution are described but not depicted directly. The Empire's control over the galaxy, its military actions, and its oppression of worlds are discussed but mostly occur off-screen. Tatooine's Mos Eisley, the underworld. Han's dealings with local criminals, bounty hunters, and the general lawlessness of Mos Eisley are referenced, but much is left unseen. These off-screen references help build the depth and realism of the Star Wars universe, given the sense of a much larger world beyond the immediate events of the film. And this actually shows that when it comes to putting outside the scene, it's about telling, not showing. Whereas putting inside the scene, I'm not going to use a French term because I don't want to mispronounce it in a horrendously hilarious way. Putting inside the scene is usually via show, don't tell. So this creates a sense of a larger world. And because Lucas had the larger world in order to reference. Now, especially when you're talking about a TV series, you have to build that larger world, because if you're planning on, so for instance, as in my thing, oh, I want these characters to do loads of stories, then I need to have the infrastructure in there in terms of designing the characters that can have lots of stories around them and operating within a setting. And so doing all of that research, and then you can sort of refer to that. So it shows, it's hints at a larger world, because most movies, they don't have all of this. I mean, in hindsight, we know how much was referenced, But most one-off films don't have all of this. And the way the exposition was used was quite well done. I mean, it's so, for instance, about the Emperor in the Senate. It's just one or two lines. But it does build that. And when you get to stage plays, they do loads of this. Because you can only have a few scenes in a stage play. So you'll be talking about what happened off stage. What happened in the past. You might have someone turn up and say, okay, so what happened then? And someone says what happened and somebody else, and they put it together. So this shows what you can do via telling rather than showing. Right then, especially what would fascinate people as kids, and I think Ewan McGregor said it, is when he heard about, because his uncle played Wedge, and when he would hear about the start of the Clone Wars, he said, "Oh," and these bits of information which are put outside the scene, these bits of information, they build the world. Now, what should be the term for this? So this is what I thought. So I asked Perplexity, and I thought, okay, so people know that French word, which means putting in the scene. So it's everything that you see on screen, and there's a lot to see on screen in Star Wars. So it's like, okay, so I want a word for all of the stuff outside of the scene that is referred to. So, for example, in mine, I have those characters referred to off screen that are built up. Yeah. So there we go. So putting outside the scene is a direct complement to putting in the scene. So there we go.